Hi, everybody. Welcome to the webinar on hybrid Microsoft 365 management without the headaches. There is a better way to do it than using the native Microsoft tools. My name is Carl Sand. I'm the product marketing manager at Ytria. I'm joined today by our CEO, Eric Houvenagel. Eric's going to do the deep dive demonstration, and we want to make sure that we answer all of your questions. So here's kind of the rules of the game. As we're going through, I just have a few slides to show to set the stage, introduce our solution and who we are. But the chat window is the place to put in all your questions. So when it pops into your head, please type it in there. We'll try to answer it during the presentation. But it's a good thing to kind of prompt, especially during the demo, to prompt Eric what to deep dive and show a little bit more of when he's sharing out the screens and doing the demonstration. And we will have plenty of time at the very end, so to answer any questions that we don't get to. So please don't forget your question. Pop it into the chat window. We'll answer it either right away or save it till the end if it's more of a detailed, in-depth question. So let's go ahead and get started. Pop up the agenda real quick. So here's what we're going to cover. Should finish up. We're recording this, so I'll send out a link, a copy to the recording if you want to share it with your colleagues or rewatch a specific section of the demo or our contact information. But for those of you that don't know Ytria and our solution, Sapio 365, we'll just have a little introduction about that. Then we'll dive right into really the storyline for today's webinar, the challenges that come from managing a hybrid environment with Active Directory on premises and Entra up in the cloud, and everything kind of on both sides of that those separate environments. And it's a headache. It really is, having to juggle both of those and different tools to manage it all. But the heart of this presentation is really showing you, a picture speaks 1,000 words, a demo speaks 1,000,000. So we'll show you example use cases to explain the time savings that you get by using a centralized GUI solution tool set to manage the environments. And then quick overview, recap of benefits, and then we'll jump into the Q&A. So all told, the demo will take the longest for the 4 use cases that we have set up, and then we'll jump into the Q&A at the end. So first and foremost, who is Ytria and what have you been doing? So we have a single focus. We do one thing, and we do it really, really well. We've been doing this, building these tools for IT administrators like you guys for 22 years. For those of you that haven't heard of us, is because you've been in the Microsoft space, and we started out in the IBM Lotus Notes and Domino, the other communication and collaboration platform that was competing with Microsoft. About 6 years ago, we took all of our great ideas, features, functionality, and we poured it into a solution for you, for the Microsoft space, called Sapio 365, to help you manage your on-premises environment as well as multiple tenants that you might have on the Microsoft cloud side. It's now in version 3 that we announced this year, and we'll excited to show it to you and talk about the benefits. But let's jump into what we're here to talk about. Hybrid environments, Active Directory and EntraID, used to be called Azure AD, management is complicated. And it's made even more complicated because of all the different tools. If you look at the listing, see the ... there on the left-hand side. There's a bunch that you have to toggle between, switch between, manage multiple tabs on your screen to get all this stuff done. And it's complicated and it takes a lot of time. Of course, Microsoft gives you PowerShell if you want to write your own scripts, but that opens up a whole nother can of worms for lifecycle management of a script library. So it's a problem. We know it. I talk to administrators all over the world every single day. I hear all their nightmare stories on it. So there's a solution. And the headaches come from all over the place. It's usually from the first 3 there. and I'll talk about the fourth one here in a sec, you can't see everything on both sides. So you continually have to bounce between different viewpoints, looking through a keyhole into a room to see what's going on in your Microsoft environment in the cloud or what's up on premises. And not everything syncs across, right? You have control over that. So some things you are going to see on the AD side, some things you're not going to see up in the cloud. And the tools that Microsoft gives you are mostly manual. Updates one single user account or group at a time. So it's frustrating switching between all these different admin center tools. And the huge problem, the last one there, is you can't really securely delegate these admin tasks down to the help desk or down to lower level, less experienced administrators. That's where a GUI tool will come in. So it's no wonder that this prescription for all the Tylenol that you have in your top drawer of your desk is because of what you're having to deal with. All these multiple tools, the super slow processes, no way to automate all this stuff unless you want to become a PowerShell guru, equals a lot of aspirin or Tylenol or ibuprofen. Take your pick. So what if there was a tool set that's universal, covers everything that you need from a single interface? It gives you full visibility of both on premises and up in the cloud. And not just visibility, but control. You can't just see the stuff. You can make changes, bulk changes, and do analysis. Do your due diligence. Maybe it's a Monday, maybe it's Friday morning where you go through and look for issues and clean them up. And a tool that would allow you to securely delegate very specific granular tasks down to the help desk or your level 1 admins. So on average, after talking with the folks that have used our solution for months or years, now it's on average per administrator about 2 to 5 hours per week that it saves you in time. So we built this tool set. Like I said, we started it in 2018. It's now on version 3, so it's very, very mature, and it does a lot. So all the features, it's difficult to explain them in like a laundry list, long bulleted list. So if you think about it, these are the categories where we help. This is where the 2 to 5 hours per week add up, right? It starts with lower left, administration, all your admin tasks, whether it's cleaning up your security groups on premises or making changes to people's mailboxes up in the cloud or Teams and SharePoint. License management. Microsoft does not make it easy to do a good job of managing your licenses. Having the information in front of you that matches not just the licenses assigned, but all the other information about the user's accounts last time they logged in, whether it's a blocked account, whether it's a shared mailbox. Microsoft is not going to alert you if you have licenses assigned to that stuff. You don't need to assign licenses. You should pull them out. So we help you identify all that and get it done. Security and compliance is another big thing where we help out. And then, of course, monitoring and reporting. But don't just listen to me. Here's an example of a customer of ours. SMB, based in Phoenix, Arizona, outdoor supply company, deal with all the landscaping and stuff. Look at the 4 check boxes on the left-hand side. The first 3, automating their offboarding process. They needed a tool for that. It was very manual and slow. They wanted a better way to do reporting for all the management requests that would come in. Who's using Teams? Who's sharing OneDrive files outside the company? They wanted to report on all that stuff. And they wanted to do bulk updates without having to become a PowerShell guru. These are all time savings reasons that they got our tool. And the last one here, proactive license management, if you read the account here, they actually saved hard dollars by using our tool because it helped them identify inactive accounts that still had licenses. So saved them $12,000 a year. So that's just one of our customers. We have a bunch of other case studies on our website if you want to go up there. But dare I digress any longer? The main reason that I know you came to this webinar was to see it in action. You joined this because I would assume that you have a hybrid makeup, a hybrid environment for your Microsoft 365 accounts and users. Much is still on premises. So we came up with 4 use cases that we're going to talk you through in sections, right? So here are the 4, and I'm going to real quickly cover each one of these 4, and we can dive into them. Full visibility is the first one. And when we go through this section of the demo, what I want you to think about in the back of your head is how much time it saves you by having a tool set that gives you this, allowing you to see everything together in one screen for manipulating, managing, reporting the data. Then we'll talk about the next one, bulk updates. Not just for user accounts, but for groups as well that are on both sides. And being able to force the synchronization with AD on premises, you can make sure and see what it syncs across to the Microsoft environment up in the cloud. Then group management, specifically around groups. You know, what are some use cases that really are time consuming for you to do analyzing and modifying groups on both sides? Then finally, probably the biggest time savings is automation of your tasks. And a good one that everybody complains about is offboarding. Onboarding as well, but offboarding is really complicated because you have to clean up stuff on both sides, on the Active Directory side on premises, but also a bunch of stuff you got to change and remove and reset up in the cloud. So we're going to show you all 4 of these in sequence. First one is this one, full visibility. Time savings if you had a tool set that would optimize all this for you guys, allow you to customize the data in front of you with additional attributes, sorted by department, sorted by region, organize it by license, everything you need at your fingertips. And if you want to export it and make it into a shareable report, very simple. We'll show you how to put it into Excel or schedule it for future goals. So I'm going to hand the baton over to Eric now. He's going to share his screen, and we're going to go through the full visibility benefits.
You see my screen? No?
I do, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
You're live, my friend.
Thank you, I'm live. Okay, so welcome everybody. So this is, I present to you SAP 365. So this is a desktop application. And it gives you the ability to connect to any tenant you may have to manage. So and you can connect to all of them at once if you want. So I'm currently connected as this admin of a tenant, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, okay, I want the users. So this is what I get. So this is the main idea of SAP 365. It's a UI that will give you the ability to list whatever you have. So we have customers who deal with hundreds of thousands of users, and they are really happy to have this tool to give them the ability to navigate through that. And inside of this presentation, I have the ability to choose, in fact, so we have about 200 properties shown altogether. So you can definitely choose what you want to see inside of this UI. But wait, so here I'm just looking at my users that are on the cloud, saying I want to see my hybrid environment. So I'm going to push this button here. So this is what it's going to do. Give me the ability to choose what property I want from the on-premise, and after it's going to load that and put that all together in the same place. So here, all at once, what I can see is all my users, may they be cloud only, synced, or on-prem only. So we have a very interesting column that's been shown here that's giving me a status. So let's group by that to have an idea of my situation. And I'm going to do a collapse. So here I can see that I got 128 users that are pure cloud. I got pure on-prem, so these are pure on-prem users only locally, and these are my 124 users that are, in fact, in synced. So from here, what can I do? So I can use existing views. So this is a setting. You can create your views, a bit like you can do in other solutions. So you have your views. You can organize what you see here. I'm going to use the default one, so we provide for the hybrid. So here we give you a global situation, for example. So we choose certain columns that make sense from our point of view for the hybrid situation. And so we're showing you some information for the different users on-prem. So this is the on-prem side. So if I look at here, so I can see that I have all my on-prem information, on-premise, information, and I got all my kind of cloud side information, so all together. And from there, I can choose to, for example, to add some properties. So let's say I want to see the department. So I can see that if searching for properties here, I got two departments, one on the cloud, one on-premise. So I'm going to ask to show both of them. And so now I can see, all the click here. And now I can see that, so I got my cloud department and my pure on-prem department. I have the information all together in one place. This view can be organized the way you want. You can add filters, filter sorting grouping. So let's say, so as I did before, so if I apply my grouping on the sync status, and I want to focus on my sync one, I can do, for example, a filter on that. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm just interested in my synced one, the one I want to work on. So I'm just focusing on that now. I can change the format. So here, if I look at the last sync date on premise, so I can change that format and say, okay, I want to have a presentation that's a bit more talking to me. So something that show me, so okay, what is my status of synchronization with my on-prem? And I see that right away. So it's really a tool that gives you the ability to have all this version and all this information at once, and being able also to choose what you want to see, organize the data you want to see, and after that, so you can export that. So as Carl was saying, so at any time when you're looking at something in SAP 365, you will have the ability to say, okay, and I want to export that report. So it's going to create, I'm going to launch that and save. And now I got an Excel file with all my data all at once. So everything I choose to have in my grid is shown right away.
So Eric, how many attributes do we pull down from
So
Active Directory and from the Entra?
So the Entra, it's about 200 for the users, a bit less on the groups by default. And after, the important part is that it's not only users and groups. Here we have the ability to navigate and to see a membership, license, OneDrive, message, a mailbox permission. So you can go deeper in the information we can have. For the on-premise, it's more, we have a short set, the default one we need to have to be able to manage the on-premise users. But after that, you can definitely choose. So because we know that on-premise can be pretty messy about the attributes, you can create your own. So,
yeah, I know.
So what we did is we say, well, okay, that's a menu. So we give you a list, and you can even say, I want to get everything that I can exist in my environment, and being able to choose the attribute. So you really, it's like a Chinese menu, when you have all these 300,000 plates, different plates of, that's exactly the same thing. So it's like a Chinese menu when you select what you need, what is important for you. And so organize it the way you want and put it in this grid where you can see all that together the way you want.
Right. Now, you went over this a very important option very quickly. I wanted to recap that and have you expand on it. You're telling me that not only can I see the user information here in both Active Directory and their cloud environment, but I can dive down and identify their OneDrive files and their email box content.
So I will have to, so let me change my view back to the default one. Okay, because I need someone who has an effective license. So like this one here, if I go here for the OneDrive file, is going to load the OneDrive file for Adele. So here I can see the content of the OneDrive file of this user. Here we are. So I got
Wow.
like a file explorer of my OneDrive, and from there, I have the ability to do action. So the same way I had the ability to do so because it's a view, but also it's an action ability with Subject 65. So you can see stuff, and after you can definitely act on it to fix a situation, correct a situation, export something, get something up. Here you have the all the ability to download, upload, change permission, etc., etc. And the
Okay.
same on the mail.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I assume Teams is in there as well. You don't have to show it, but so
I
it
will show
really
that after.
allows
Yeah.
administrators to go to that second level or third
Yeah.
level, down to the actual content that's out there in their user's environment, and do research and analysis down there. Cool. I'm gonna share my screen again. We're gonna move on to the next. Bulk updates. Can you see it okay, Eric?
Yep. Yeah, I see it.
Cool. So as Eric was showing in that part of the demo, the first part, this is the second part, we're providing a tool set that not only does reporting, very flexible, customizable reporting with all the information at your fingertips, down to the content that's out there in your Microsoft environment, but you can make changes. You can make updates, not one at a time, but in bulk, and you can review those changes before you commit them up to either Azure, on-premises AD or up into Entra. And if you want to immediately see the synchronization to make sure that it worked correctly, do you remember how Eric was showing the department field on both sides, and on premises and up in the cloud? And the other thing that Eric is going to show you is everything is logged. All the activities, everything you change, who changed it, when they changed it, is included in the log for audit purposes. So I'll let you start sharing again, Eric. You can go through this bulk updates demo.
Okay, so I'm back. Okay, so we're back to our users here, and so this is a view I created for myself. So I created a view where I put some information that for me seems relevant for an admin management. So I got some information about some last logon dates, account expiration, even the admin count. I don't know if you know about this property, but this is pretty hidden. But if admin count is set to 1, then the account is protected on-prem, so people cannot modify it. So. Yep. And so here you can see globally quickly, so who's protected on that. So what I'm going to do here is what I propose is I'm going to change some departments. So I can see all my departments set on both sides. So I'm going to do a grouping by department name. Okay, here. Collapsing that all together, and I want to change the best because the best honestly is not a group department name. So what I'm going, so all this user here, we can see that they have this department set on both sides. Since they are hybrid, you have to change on the hybrid side. So this is where we have this action ability here in Subject 65. So you have the ability to edit, create, delete, set manager, reset password, edit the MFA, etc. So here, I'm going to focus on the edition. So I'm going to edit the part of the on-prem user, on-premise user. And what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to say, because this is going to be production. Okay. Oh, typo, sorry.
It does have a red line under it if you have a typo.
Yep. Yeah, it's there. It's there. So I'm going to apply that. So I don't have any database anymore because it moved to production. So and see, it's kept my selection. As you can see here, we have a pencil. So what it means is that you can do all the modification you want on Subject 65, but nothing will go live until you say, okay, I'm going to apply that and send that to the server, maybe AD or maybe Entra. So a big difference from, for example, PowerShell, when you create a PowerShell to do some mass edition, this is what I call a launch and pray. You launch your stuff and you pray that you didn't make a mistake in your PowerShell, your selection is correct. Because when it's launched, it's launched. That's it.
Launch and pray, is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. So I wanted you to point out there, just to make sure everybody sees it, is that the department field for up in the cloud is still set to the old one.
Mm-hmm. So
the best, because it hasn't synchronized across yet.
Yeah, so I'm going to apply on-prem. So this is what we're doing here. So he's talking to the on-prem server. which is a bit far away sometime. You get some, okay. So I just saved it. So this has been changed. Now we see, we have this, yeah, we have this icon say, okay, this has been saved. It's okay. It has been saved on-prem, but we still doesn't see the change here on the cloud part. What I can do from here, I can say, okay, let's push that. So I just pushed a sync, rather than waiting for, usually it's what, 30 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it's like a half an hour.
Yeah, I heard some companies have up to 2 hours delay for their syncing. They're so big they had to do that. So here you can, kind of push it and kick it a bit. And so what I did is, so I talked to the AAD server and asked to do a refresh. And now if I ask to refresh the data here, get that?
There it is. It changed over.
So it changed, so it pushed a change, and we can see that, in fact, my last sync date was 17 seconds ago when I kind of kick the system, say, now we sync.
Cool. Thank you, Eric. Can you, real quick, before we jump on to the next use case demo, can you show the logging in SAP 365?
So we show how to change something on-prem, and so, but you can still change, because there is some information that are pure cloud, and you can do the same. So for example, I can go here in my custom attribute, which is a pure cloud situation, go there and say, okay, this is that, okay, I'm going to use this value I use already. I'm going to apply that. Same here, change, modified, save, and
Commit.
This has been pushed to the cloud. Oh, I got an error. Oh, I got another request. Okay, no, he didn't want to. No, on-prem. Oh, sorry, that's my mistake. I'm sorry about that.
In the cloud.
Yeah, it's a pure, yeah. Okay, so one I can see is the location for license. If I change that to United Kingdom, this one. This one went through.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because that's a cloud only field.
We don't, one thing for sure, SAP 365 won't decide for you what can be pushed and what needs to be pushed from on-prem, what is not. You know your environment, because some environment can be in both ways.
Right.
The keys can be different. So we let you do. So anyway, you see the error I get. The error said, well, you cannot do that because this is a sync property. You can't change that on the cloud. So we
got to change it on premises first.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Can you jump over and just show the logging real quick?
Sure. So if I go here to my backstage of the application, I have my user log here. So if I put that, and I will see that, the change, even the error I got. So all the change I made, so, I changed the location, I changed the production. So I got a trace, knowing that you still have the log in EntraID, and you still have the log in on-prem if there is any. But one thing for sure is anything you do with SAP 365 is logged.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks, Eric. So let me share my screen out. We're going to move on to the next one, group management. So groups are on both sides, right? Mostly on premises, it's security groups, and up in the cloud, it's security groups as well, distribution lists, teams, groups. Having the ability to view it, see it all together, similar to how Eric showed you the other one around all the user information, all the group information is also available at your fingertips. And once again, just like user accounts, you can make bulk updates to groups instead of having to do it manually one at a time to add a user, remove a user, update the owners. But there's also really easy ways to do research to clean up your groups. Maybe you might have users that have been, left the company, or they're no longer working there. They used to be a contractor, used to be a student, an intern for the summer, and you need to clean up the groups that they were in. It's really easy to find those user accounts that are out there, or groups with no owners. The owners have left, and you need to update that. So I'll hand it back over to Eric now, and he's going to show you the use case for time savings for simplifying your group management. Go ahead, Eric.
Yep. Sharing, and here we go. No, I'm not sharing anymore. Okay. Time share. Okay, here we go. Sorry for that.
All right.
Okay,
Show me
so
groups.
Yeah, groups. So there is two ways to look at groups, because you have there is two perspectives, if we can think about it. You have from the user and from the group. Okay. So here I'm still in my user and I want to look, for example, okay, I got these two user and I want to see, okay, what are their group membership? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the system to say, okay, what is the group you're a member of? And this is here. So this is where we get all the information about groups, and the group you get by inherited. So meaning that is in this group because he's on another group that contains this group. So you get the full story about, and you see the type of the group here. So you have a vision of, okay, where am I? Where is my group? I need to add this person or remove this person from a group. So you can either choose from the selection he has or say, okay, I want to see from the full available group in my environment. Say, okay, this guy, I want to add them to here, and just did that. I'm going to apply the same system. So here, I'm applying that to Albert and save that. Are you sure? I'm sure this is done. So I just add someone to a group. The same, since we're talking about hybrid, we have exactly the same thing on the other side, I would say, on the fence. So we can have a look at the on-premise group. And now here, I can see the group, the on-premise group, this user, sync user are part of. And from there, the same thing, I will have the ability to add my user from one group to another. So if I say, okay, I want to add to another group, so I can say, okay, these guys are now in all the news. Just applies that here, both of them, saves that, and this is done. So this is from the user perspective. Now, if I go back to my main SAP 365 screen, I can see that I got my users, but also I have my groups as an entry point. So what I'm going to do is say, okay, I'm going to open my group. So same thing. You see here, something as for the user. I got all my groups. I already loaded the on-premise groups. So all together, I can see in one place all my groups. So the pure cloud teams, for example, pure cloud, 100%. Nothing on nothing at all.
No team stuff on premises.
The pure on-premises group, we get a lot, and the sync ones. So the ones that are synced. So the usually they are mail. We can see here from the type. Mail enable security group distribution list, so definitely they are here. Same thing as the user have the ability to do some edition, creation, have the ability to navigate so through their content. So for example, if we're looking at Teams, we have the ability to go and check the files, the channels, etc., etc. So you can go deeper if you need to go deeper as an admin. If you need to do some modification, so let's say I'm going to take these three, so I'm going to take these three teams here, trying to members. So it's going to connect, get all the information, and now I get all my group at once in one place. So no need to go from one group to another and seeing what's happening. And from here, I get all my users. I brought with me because you can anytime decide that you want to always get some properties with you when you're looking at a user or a group. Here I ask that I always want to see the department and I always want to see the signing status. So I always want to have that when I'm looking at a user in some other place than the grid of the users. So this gives me a quick vision that I can see that Henrietta will in fact doesn't have the right to sign in anymore, but she's still a member of all this group, by the way. Yeah, she's all everywhere. And what I can do, I can simply go there and say, I want to remove that. Or let's say, I got two owner here, I got only one owner, Adele should be an owner here. I'm going to promote her as an owner and I'm going to apply that. And this is changed. Voilà. So adding users, it's pretty easy. Also, if I go on my different groups here and I say, okay, I want to add some new users. So here you see the difference of color. So what it tells you is say, well, everything that gray is there here everywhere, but the white one are not in the group you selected, but they are in the other one. So it's a quick way to check. Oh, okay, I'm missing these three guys should be in these groups.
Oh, so it does a real fast comparison for
a
you
very quick on the fly
groups.
comparison. Say, okay, what you're looking at, and you see you have some inconsistency, and we are trying to help you understand what you're looking at.
Well, wait. Let's bring it back to our central story, Eric. Time savings. If you were to do that manually using the Microsoft tools, how long would that take to go through one group at a time? Export it to Excel or write it on a sticky note and update them. That's a huge time savings for an administrator.
I'm going to save that. Okay, and the interesting part too is that we have exactly the same thing on the on-premise side. So I can select, for example, these groups here that are synced and go, okay, I want to manage a member on the on-premise because this is where you have to manage a membership. And so here we give you the same thing as what we show with the Cloud Pure groups here. I got all my groups with all my users, and the same way here, we have all the ability to do add membership and everything. And I can see that all at once, no need to go to each group individually to understand, so where is Bob?
Yep.
It's like the game, when you have to find where is Bob, Tom? I don't remember. The guy with the red stripe?
Yep.
Anyway.
Fantastic. No, that's a huge example of time savings for managing groups using a single centralized UI instead of bouncing between the different on-premises and cloud tools. Thanks, Eric. So I'll share out my screen again. We're going to move on. Let me know when you can see it okay, Eric.
Yep, I see it.
Okay, so when we're talking about time savings for tool sets like Sapio 365, being able to automate your processes, not a single task, but multiple tasks that are tied together as part of a process is probably the biggest time savings you can think of. So user offboarding is not just one thing, right? It's a bunch of stuff. You have to clean up the groups that they're in on premises, the security groups probably. And you also have to clean up and make all the changes up in the cloud. And to tie that together as a single job that you can, even schedule, but it's all logged as well. If, requests come into the help desk and you want to say, okay, I completed it on this time, this date, and here's all the information, paste it into the help desk ticket. So I want you guys to think about it, and I'm actually going to help you. So we're going to ask a poll question to make this interactive for everybody. Here's what I want to know. Think about it. How long does it take you today to offboard 5 users? The requests come in either from a single manager or multiple managers, and you have to offboard 5 accounts on Friday. You have to block their account. Look at all the tasks involved. There's probably more. You have to archive their OneDrive files so they don't, stay out on OneDrive and become orphans. You have to set up their mailbox as a shared mailbox, take their licenses away, remove them from all the different groups on both sides. How long does it take you to do all of this stuff? So let me bring up the poll, and I'm going to ask everybody. It's a simple bring up the polls. Simple drop-down menu to ask them. Let me go ahead and launch it. And there, it should be showing up for you guys. Do you see it, Eric?
Yep.
So give your information here in the poll, and we'll see how everybody votes. Now remember, this is for 5 user accounts, not 1, but 5. And you have to do all of the tasks involved, usually manually in multiple different tool sets. So we'll give a few seconds for everybody to chime in here. Yeah, so it looks like the majority of the folks are saying it's longer than an hour. Wow. Okay. So I'll let you take over, Eric, and demo how fast and simple it is to do with an automated tool set like Zapier.
Okay. So you see my screen? Yeah, you see my screen? Okay, so...
Yep, it's coming through.
So this is where... So this is where we because everything. So when we're talking about offboarding someone, there is multiple tasks. Every task individually can be done with Subsys65. But the idea is to not have to click on all the buttons one by one and do all the action individually. So you want to do that in a kind of automation way. And this is where we have the job center. So job center are automation we created that gives you the ability to do multiple things at once, rather than going through them one by one. So we have multiple jobs provided, some depending on what you're looking for. As you can see in the users, there is quite a lot. So, and the interesting one is the one we're talking about now, is the user offboarding. So I'm going to offboard. Albert is gone and Arnold has left. So that's 2 users. So they're out. And I'm going to offboard. So I can see that they got some license. If I look at the group, there are members of multiple groups inside of it. So they are member of multiple groups. Some are on-prem, some are in the cloud. Well, it's a big mess. Okay. So I'm going to push this user offboarding job button. So where it's going to give me like a menu to choose. So what kind of action I want to do for this offboarding. So one thing, since this is a sync user, I have the ability to overwrite and change the OU of the user if I want to move them out of the sync or whatever. So I can definitely, for example, say, okay, I want to change OU or I want to select an existing OU. So this is the list of the OU available. So I can move the person away from the sync. So let's say I can say I want this to be in other user, for example. Okay. I can eventually enforce, so say, okay, I want to check if there is a manager. I want to be sure there is a manager. This is really handy when we're talking about the cloud part. Manager will be someone who will have the ability to go through, for example, the OneDrive, and because it will stay on hold and the manager will have the ability to check that. So this you can enforce a specific manager on the user. And the most important part is, okay, log them out. So you want to block the signing on premise. So it's going to be done on premise because it has to be done on premise to be able to sync back to the cloud. I'm going to reset the password. We're going to generate a big fat password to this user nobody will have, so you won't be able to use that. And what I can do also is I want to be sure that I see this user that has been offboarding, so I'm going to add a prefix to the user. If I had some mailbox, I could say, okay, I want to switch the mailbox to a shared mailbox automatically. So now it's, we keep the email, but it's not linked to a license anymore. I could add some mail delegation to this mailbox and provide some full access to other mailbox. So I can have checks on that. So I'm going to remove the license. That's number one. Usually you offboard is you don't want them to have a license anymore. Any role, in my case, this guy doesn't have any role, but I can say, okay, remove any role and the group part. So this is where I gotta read, precise list of choice of what kind of group I want to remove the user from. So we see that we have the Microsoft 365, Teams, distribution list, so on cloud, security groups on cloud, the mail enable security group on cloud, and also the distribution group on premise. So what I'm going to say everybody.
Yes to all.
Yes to all. If I had a user with a OneDrive, I could ask to say, I want to download the OneDrive and I can even upload the OneDrive content to a Teams. We have customer who does that. They use the Teams like a placeholder when they put stuff, so they're sure that they don't lose anything, and so they can look at it after, rather than being in this kind of panic mode. Say, okay, it's going. So because as soon as you remove the license, the OneDrive, I think 3 days, and after it's wiped out. So
So this gives the manager of that user access to it going forward. That's great.
Okay, so this is my choice, and I'm going to do okay. So the way it does, so we see here it explains. So the Subsys65 explains to you what it's doing. So he's going to load the information. So he's going to load the information about the user. He just resets the password on premise. He renames the on-premise user. He disabling the on-premise user, saving, and so now he did all the changes, saving that on the on-premise side. Okay. So he's pushing that to our AD. Okay, so this is done. Now he's reloading the information about the user and is removing the user from the groups. Here, so going through the groups and removes the user from the groups, removes Okay, going through, checking the groups, 4 cloud groups removed, on-premise groups. Now he's going through the on-premise groups, so he's going to check any groups he can have here, remove it, save it. 5, we see 5 has been removed. Now he's removing the on-premise user again. Now he's removing the license.
Yeah, Eric, I see that it's showed all there in the pop-up windows, but
Yep.
does it log all of this
Sure.
together?
Yeah, because all that are actions, so you will have that in the, yep.
Right. And it provides a total at the end.
Now he's doing the force sync, so he did all the change on-prem and all
Oh, and
the
it forces
attachment.
the sync too. Great.
And he's pushing the sync right away. And this is done. And now you get a report. So 4 minutes to go through all that. So went through 2 user, reset password, change display name, renamed. Here we have the rename. We have the groups, the premise group, license, and they have been moved to another OU. They have been moved to another OU. If I close that, now I get a report. So it generated a report and shows you all what it did and what it found. So just if you need to have a after plan, checking the situation. Okay, but what you said you removed from 5 group. What? 5 groups? Shouldn't be 5 groups. Okay, you have the 5 groups listed here. So you have all the details here. So you have the details of what has been done. So it's an Excel that is generated whatever what. So here. And if I look here, so I got my users, so no license. We see that the organization unique change. I'm going to do a refresh. And they moved, you say, oh, yep. Where are they gone? They moved. Why? Because we renamed them with ZZ.
That's right.
They've been zipped.
Yeah.
And this is done.
So, Eric, I saw you did that for 2 users. Is it exponential, the timing, if you would have selected 5 users to offboard, or does it all go just as fast?
You will have the individual save for each user for sure. So it's not exponential, but yeah, it's the more user you select, the more time it's going to take for sure.
Yeah.
But you will do that automatically, a little bit. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Eric. That was a good demonstration. Eric, as I share my screen out and go through kind of the recap slides and the frequently asked questions, can you take a quick look through the chat window and review some of the questions that we'll answer in the final Q&A, okay?
There was a question about the loading of the users on the on-premise. The problem is because in our story, the biggest bottleneck here we have is Microsoft itself. The time it takes to provide us the data. Once we get the data, we're happy because then after we can eat that and process that, no problem. But it's time to get the data. And if you have tens of thousands of users on premise, AD server has some limitation about what kind of volume it can provide and everything.
Yep.
So it can take some time. So there was a comment from Thomas Bolsinger that about, so if you have a lot, so sometimes it's a bit difficult and you don't want to reload all the on-premise users all the time. So just point out to Thomas, so you have the ability to reload specific users if you want. On the cloud side, we're lucky because on the cloud side we have we have the ability to use some kind of delta. So we use a delta request that give us what changed since. Unfortunately, on-premises doesn't have that. So this is why we give the ability to reload specific user when we want to.
Oh, so if you want to just work on one department per se, you can just select those 15 users or 25 users and then refresh that. That makes complete sense. So guys, just to recap, it's really about efficiency and time savings for your administrators, especially in a hybrid environment where you're, bouncing between 2 separate directory structures. But having the ability to have full visibility and complete control over that in a single pane of glass and not just see it, report on it, view it, but make changes and bulk changes on groups, on users. Eric showed you in the demo. If you want to go back and watch it, remember, I'll send you a link so you can share this as well with your colleagues or your manager, but really safe to make those changes. You don't have to become a PowerShell guru. We think it reduces your admin time by about 20%. so per administrator. So 2 to 5 hours per week, depending on how often you do this stuff. And Eric, I wanted to pose this real quickly so everyone understands the architecture of our solution. It's completely secure because the data that we're pulling out and showing to them is in their environment. It's completely secure and encrypted, right?
Yep.
And this is a desktop application. It's not cloud-based, so it's super fast.
It's a desktop application. So what it brings to that, so in really I think the most important point from here is that this means that there is no third-party server. There is nothing. No, your data doesn't go to any other server on the cloud ever, because all the data you manage around with your users, the group information, whatever, all goes from your computer you're working on and your tenant. So there is nothing that goes somewhere else. Your data is fully secured. Nobody has access to anything at Ytria for that. So, and the other part is that since we are using the computer ability, we can, as I said, we have we have 300,000 users, and they're able to manage that, thanks to the ability rather than being stuck with some pagination issues on some web design.
Yeah, I totally get the speed on it. So guys, if you're interested in learning more before we get into the Q&A, we have a guided trial. If you want to get on our website and sign up for that, you can try out the solution free of charge in your environment. And we don't have any reduced functionality during the trial. You can try it all. All the features, all the functionality is is available at your fingertips to try out the solution. We do love to meet with customers if they want to do kind of an assessment of their environment, especially around licensing. So we'll help you with kind of an optimization assessment using our tool set, give you some very interesting information out of what's kind of hidden behind the scenes for licensing, for user accounts, for groups, all that type of stuff. And if you want to know more about the architecture and the security of Sapio 365, we're more than happy to open the kimono and do a meeting and do a deep dive on the architecture for it. Just let us know. And there's tons on our website, from case studies to other webinar recordings that you want to see. So questions. These are the common questions that we get hit with all the time. The first one is, Microsoft has a super security version of Microsoft 365 called GCC High, which is usually for government agencies or vendors that work with the Department of Defense. And yes, the answer is a resounding yes. Our solution does work. Our architecture fits and it's validated. It works with GCC High tenants. We do have customers in production that are running our solution to manage their GCC High tenants. So I think this question actually came up in the chat window. We answered it. But for everybody, just so you know, if you have a friend that works for Raytheon or Boeing or any of these other agencies that work with the government and have, a subset of their company in a GCC High tenant, we can help them. Next, all the activities are logged. Yes, Eric showed that, what people view in the system, who saw it, who made the changes, when they made the changes, what they changed. It's all completely logged for auditing or to add into, copy paste into a completion of a help desk ticket. The pricing, it's simple pricing. It's set on the size of your tenant. The bigger, the more complex your environment is, usually the more support we provide you guys to get you onboarded. There's no hidden costs in Sapio 365, though. That's what I did want to point out. We have a very thorough onboarding and training program to get you up to speed on it. All the support, maintenance for the product as we enhance it, that's all included in the price. There's no additional charges year by year for the solution. If you want a price quote, feel free to reach out to me. So let's move on to Q&A. Eric, in the chat window, were there any questions that you wanted to recap on? I think we answered a lot of them inside the chat, or Sonia did, one of our tech support folks.
I'm on mute. Yeah, for what I can see, Sonia and Hugues handle most of the questions. Regarding, so when you choose to archive OneDrive with SharePoint storage available, he will do a check before and tells you if it's possible before he goes through the full shebang. So we check
Ah,
that there is space enough to put what you want to move to. So that is done. Yes, there is a verification done first. Give you a status and say, this is what you can do and this you can't. There is not enough space. So yeah, you see that before. Multiple hybrid environment. Well, you can have as many sessions as you want. And yes, we have customer. We have multiple hybrid environment. That's you can have as many sessions you want, and they can all point to one specific hybrid if you want. So it's totally free about that. There is no restriction about how many hybrid session you can have. So it can be 1,000 if you want, if you have.
yep. So just to recap that for everybody
Mm-hmm.
on the webinar here, say I do have 3 separate on-premises AD environments, 3, and then they all sync to the same cloud, though. Can I use Sapio 365 to manage those different on-premises AD environments?
In the current version, yes, you can. The only thing is you would have 3 different sessions from Sapio 365 point of view. What we're looking to do in the next version is to be able to have all this AD with one only session, so all merge all together.
Ah.
Yeah, we're talking about that for the next release. Yeah, we talked about that with the developers. But
Cool.
as today, we have a customer who have multiple AD for one, and so the way we worked is they had multiple sessions set, and each one's pointing to a specific AD.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you, Eric. So thank you all for joining us today for the webinar. Hopefully this was very, very useful and informational. And you did have a chance to see time savings that are available for you using a single tool set instead of bouncing between all the different admin center portals or tools that Microsoft provides. And you get an understanding of how you can automate a lot of the tasks, tie them together into what we call an automation job to get your work done much quicker. If you want to reach out to us, send an email to customer@ytria.com or hop on our website. We have specific sections just about Sapio 365 up there. And appreciate your time.